Hey everybody, I just recorded a video which I thought was going to be 5 minutes, but it ended up being almost a half hour. I just watched it and it just rambled too much. Well, 2.5 months ago I recorded a video and I said I was back. Let me fix this. And I wasn't back. I recorded a video. Yeah, I was so happy. I just got the internet after the first time in a year, after being homeless, running away from my parents, the narcissists. I mean, the whole disaster, trauma hit me. I've been collecting cans and bottles for a living after being a programmer for 20 years. It's just being a whole new me, basically, a whole new experience of like living in trauma, basically. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder and borderline. I mean, I've just been going crazy. I can't control myself on certain levels, that's for sure. Even though I've improved and I've come to terms with what happened, the real heavy work of restructuring my mind, I believe, starts now, because I finally have a little peace of mind. It's been about a year, and when I first ended up in the park, I had, no money. I didn't know where to eat. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any family left. All I had was the internet and you guys, whoever watched me. And I slowly rebuilt a lot of it. At least I have an apartment. I'm not going anywhere. I've acted out here and gotten in a lot of trouble, and luckily they have come to terms with me and they like me enough that I don't think they're going to throw me out for any of my behavior. I haven't been arrested, although I was stopped for dancing in the street and being a loud ass. I mean, basically, I'll tell you something, folks. I have borderline personality disorder, explosive. It's worse than my brother was a narcissist, so he had explosive narcissistic rage. Mine's not narcissistic rage, it's borderline insanity. It's a reaction that I have, and I seem not to be able to control it. It's the worst problem. I seem to have a better control over my mood, and self-soothing, but when it comes to initial reactions, I tend to want to kill, or destroy, or nuke. It's like that. It's like that's the first thing, and I think it comes back to when I was a child and my father would just be abusing me, and I would want to destroy or kill. I didn't understand really. I wanted actually the police to get involved or my mother to get involved. I just wanted him to be destroyed. And via object theory, I think, and reading Sam Vatican's book, I believe that's where my borderline derives from. He does mention that, I mean, he calls it a narcissist. I don't think I'm a narcissist. He talks about a narcissist with values. Well, if a narcissist has values, is it really a narcissist? I don't think so. Not the way we talk about him. I mean, I don't need narcissistic supply. I've never done anything like this. This is the first time I've actually felt a bit of narcissistic pride, because I never had any. I was a black sheep. I always kept to the quiet. But I have an explosive rage that maybe some of you have also, but I have it bad. I mean, I become like an animal. I become very aggressive to anybody and to everybody out loud, at the slightest provocation. God taught me a lesson, because I was so full of faith and love, and as long as I kept that up, I was having great experiences. And then it became cold. I lost my internet, like I said, about an hour after I left that last video. My time ran out, and I realized that it wasn't a tenable way to go to pay $10 a gigabyte through my cell phone. So I had to get the internet, which I was just able to afford this month because they canceled. They waived the installation fee, so it was only $50 instead of being $100. And $100 to accumulate during the winter when there was just no cans, and I had a back sciatica problem. And then when that recovered in celebration, I jumped off a stair going yay, and I fell in weak snow, and then I got what's called a high ankle sprain, which has been 6 weeks in recovery, and I'm still not perfect, but it was really bad. I couldn't walk. I was screaming. I was just lashing out at everyone. So I learned a lot. It's like as soon as I became injured and I became attached to like myself again, and I started to worry about me, well, then I kind of became mean, and then worse things happened, and it just seemed like it was been really bad vibes since I left my last video. I'm hoping that I'm going to turn around now. I became self-destructive. I tried to overdose. Well, not really. I just did too much methamphetamine. I do that stuff to numb myself. I mean, I'm basically at post-traumatic stress disorder, and I can't stop thinking, and I can't relax. My apartment's very small, so it's too small to have a couch. You put your feet up and watch TV. It would make too much noise. We all keep pretty quiet. It's almost like I have a full apartment, but it's tiny, so it's like being in a dorm room or something. You know, I know if my neighbor is awake or not, or if she's walking, and you don't really want to like play music too loud or start singing, or in the middle of the night, you don't even want to be programming because you feel the clicking is going to harass them. At least that's the way I am. So I would use methamphetamine to like, just knock myself into a haze where I didn't have to run out. Because post-traumatic stress disorder, I just can't stay in the house anymore. I used to program for 10 hours in a row, and now it's like after 10 minutes, I just feel like I gotta leave. If it's not to collect aluminum cans, and then it's to, just to get some food, and get like a munchie or something, or just to get out. I can't really sit still anymore. I've got to overcome that, as well as my borderline. My borderline is basically like, I realize it's exactly like a psychopath, but just like Sam says, or maybe like a narcissist, I don't know. It's like I lose all my values for an instant, and I want to kill people, and I want to hurt them, and I want to destroy, and I want to commit suicide. But then like it's not more than 10 seconds that lasts, ever. Even if it happens 100 times a day, it never lasts more than 10 seconds because my conscience kicks in. My conscience is not just empathy; it's also kind of logic that says, well, that's not really going to solve any problems. People have tried that before, and assassination is don't really do any good, and crime doesn't pay, or like this and that. The whole thing, you realize, well, it's just senseless talk, but I have to express it, and it's scary for people, I'm sure, who don't know me, who hear it, and people who, I'm sure I've turned a lot of people off. I mean, there are people out there who must hate me because the past few months I've been just angry and lashing out in pain. It's like I transfer my pain from my leg to other people, and it's really not fair. And I don't know if that's what being a psychopath is all about, or a narcissist. Yeah, I think so, actually. I think like a narcissist transfers their shame onto other people. That's what my parents did. They were ashamed, and they created stories to transfer the shame. So it's similar. It's similar. I think it's all based on object theory. Sam seems to cover it. Freud seems to understand it. And it seems to make sense in my life too. The stages of, talk about it some other time. Anyways, I just got the internet 5 days ago. Feeling a little bit healthier again. My leg is recovering, and I just learned what I have to do to fully recover it. So I hope to record a lot of videos, because I have at least 50 in store that I'm not going to upload. They've become outdated by now. I made 7 playlists, or 6 playlists. I talk about my ex-girlfriend, the psychopath, and how I discovered what I discovered, and the implications. I'll talk about my parents' narcissistic abuse that killed my brother, and how they tried to kill me, and what it was all about, and how shocking it is. And that my brother never could have lived through this. If he didn't have a heart attack the day he had it, he would have had it a month later. If I went through this and figured everything out, because the truth is about as crazy and sick as can be. Same thing with my psychopath. These are extreme stories I have to tell. And I'll also talk about being a borderline or a complex post-traumatic, because I think it's the same bloody thing. I mean, I just watched something on c-ptsd, and I'm saying, well, that's really borderline. I don't see a difference. It's, anyways. I'm glad to be back. I hope everyone's doing all right. God, it's like something I've learned is that the trauma has changed us, and we're not going back. Every specialist says that, and it's comforting to know that in some way, because although I wish I can go back, I feel I'm not going back, and I can't go back. And to hear that, that's standard, de facto trauma made me feel a little bit better, because I was worried that, you know, my situation was unique because my brother died, and I can't tell anyone who understands in my life, and they don't believe me or whatever it is. It's just too unbelievable. But it seems like everyone, when we've had this happen and we get traumatized, you know, our brain chemistry changes, the way we think changes, our thoughts, our patterns change, and a lot of good comes out of it, apparently. So it's not all bad, just that it's a change. And anyways, I'm just glad to be back again. This time I'm definitely back. I'll probably have so many videos up. I'm going to create a little something with better lighting. I don't seem to know how to do this very well. Alright, well, peace, love, happiness, recovery, hope, understanding, deciphering. Good luck. Speak to everyone soon.